Well, hey guys! Welcome to the Gaming Nobodies podcast. I am one of your hosts, Oop My Downs.
I'm Father.
And, Father and I were having a conversation in the other week, and we decided, you know what? Neither of us know much about podcasts, nor have we ever done a podcast. So you know what we should do? We should do a podcast.
Best idea ever.
Best idea ever. So we decided to create this channel called the Gaming Nobodies, where we're going to talk about our opinions on the latest gaming news in the world of gaming.
And even sometimes old gaming news, because you know what? Sometimes there's no news.
But we're hoping to release this podcast every Sunday, or at least most Sundays. So every week we'll have a new, probably major topic. This week's topic is going to be sequels.
And also magazines going to the digital medium and the digital medium in general. And we'll mix up with other small, related subjects along the way.
Little tidbits of information. So I think that we should start off with, the magazines going digital, because this is a lot of big news recently, where we have a lot of big names like PC Gamer and Xbox and PS3 official magazine, along with Nintendo Power, which Nintendo Power has been around forever.
Ever since the Nintendo, started.
I remember reading that as a kid. It's like the only magazine I read, and so now all these major magazines, they're going digital.
I mean, it's not surprising so much as it's earlier than I think most people thought it would come. I think just the whole idea of magazines for video games have been so ingrained in our minds that the fact that they're not going to exist at some point in the future anymore in physical copies is just, out of this world, really.
Yeah, yes, we all knew this was going to happen. We all know that newspapers and magazines all across the world, they're gonna die out. It's a dying market. We know that. The internet has taken over the world.
And, I would actually argue that maybe the newspapers have actually more chances of staying out, have more outside of the digital medium than magazines. I think magazines especially, because especially for video games, since gamers are pretty much always on the internet, that it was really just a question of time.
Well, I think newspapers have this is getting so off, but newspapers have a longer time to survive, only because such an older market reads a newspaper. But once our generation becomes the older market, and the older market is dead and gone, it's done. It's beyond done. But magazines, I was never a huge video game magazine reader, but, some of them offered demos to games. I remember getting Oblivion on demo from the Xbox 360. Well, it was kind of a demo. It was enough of a demo. But, I got that from Xbox Magazine, but just growing up on Nintendo Power, you get all those little guides, like walkthroughs when we were kids and stupid and couldn't...
cheats, walkthroughs,
exactly.
Things like that. Small news and, reveals, pictures. And, with the internet... We don't need it anymore.
We don't. Yes, sometimes we get exclusive stuff through magazines before it comes out on the internet. Such as, there's been a ton of stuff on Skyrim in magazines, but basically nothing on the internet.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with magazines paying for early news and things like that, so that they, still get people who buy their stuff. But what I find really interesting with that announcement is, when you take an account in GameStop,
Game Informer.
Yeah, you get a year of Game Informer.
Yeah, which is the only time I've ever gotten Game Informer, because they give you a free year.
Yeah.
They just give it out.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how that goes with Game Informer, if Game Informer switches to digital medium, which I don't know if they will, if they're just going to stop. It's going to be one or the other.
Right, because Game Informer wasn't on the list of canceling. I'm pretty sure I didn't see it.
I don't think so either. Don't quote us on this.
Yeah, we could be horribly wrong on this.
I think it's going to be interesting to see when Game Informer goes digital, if it goes digital, if GameStop is going to still do that.
Well, is it GameStop's magazine? Because I know GameStop is heavily affiliated with it.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Again, don't quote us on this, but it's going to be interesting to see.
I guess it doesn't entirely worry me, because if magazines die out, we're just going to get all that information that was essentially exclusive to subscribers. It's just going to go on the internet at the same time.
Yeah.
So really, it's almost a positive in a sense. But for the people who felt exclusive by having a subscriber, a subscription to the magazine, that goes away. But not a huge deal. You still get the news.
Yeah, I mean, even then nowadays, there's scans of the magazines that go
everywhere.
Almost instantly. I mean, pretty much as soon as someone gets it, they're gonna scan it and then upload it to whatever forum they're on.
Right. Well, if the forum, I mean, it gets up on the internet somehow.
Yeah. Somehow, and at some point, and I mean, just the increase of digital medium over the past few years with Steam, iTunes, just movies and things like that.
This is not an issue that just sits only on video game magazines. I mean, this is across just like, I mean, with Steam. Yeah. With just being able to download games nowadays. I think I've downloaded 2 or 3 games this week, which that's what you do. You don't need to go to a store and buy them. You just download them.
And then the insane deals that Steam does. As a consequence, I have, I think, a library of about 173 games.
Yeah, you have more digital games than I have physical games, which is beyond me. But but it's true. It's just they're so easy to get.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would have probably paid for over $10,000 worth of games if they weren't on sale.
Right. I mean, well, yeah, because if you buy the physical copies, there's really no sales. They go down in price, but really you have to wait years.
Yeah.
So, a physical copy would... If you had bought all those same games in physical copies, it would be so much more than if you had just downloaded them like you did.
It even costs the developers less to go digital because they don't have to pay for boxes, they don't have to pay for the, everything that comes with that, the small booklets and things like that.
Right. Well, and in some cases, like with third-party companies going to Steam, it's kind of the same deal. But if you are Valve owns Steam, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're Valve and you're selling games, you don't have to go to the middleman. You don't have to give it to a store to be sold. You can make all the profit just by selling out something digitally.
Exactly. It's
which is awesome.
Just like with EA and Origin,
right?
Which they are doing an exclusive for Battlefield 3 on Origin, which is the best thing they could have done. Because, I mean, people are going to buy that anyways.
Because they're loving it right now.
Yeah. And it's just I think, personally, I like the move. I still feel a little bit of nostalgia towards hard copies. I sometimes buy them. It depends for which games. And I mean, I'm still a console gamer, so I still have to buy most of my games, in hard copies.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, we're going to move, even for consoles, towards a digital medium. I mean, we can already see it with consoles having, 320 gigabytes of hard drive space.
Oh, whatever the next generation is, PS4, Xbox 720, whatever, I can almost guarantee you that it's just going to be basically a device with a very large hard drive and everything's going to be downloadable.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be everything's downloadable because I think the PSP Go was either too soon because it's completely downloadable, or if it was just a bad idea. I think for PC gaming or computer gaming in general, I think it works better because of it's you're not only using your computer for gaming and it's easier to manipulate, going on the internet, things like that. Whereas on a console, it's a little bit dodgier, and also, I don't know, personally,
I think that's a whole different issue because of GameStop.
Yeah.
GameStop, if you go to a GameStop, try to find the PC aisle. Just try to find it. It doesn't exist.
No, it exists behind the PSP games.
Okay, well, it doesn't really.
There's
nothing There's maybe
there.
3 games.
Yeah.
So, GameStop owns the video game market of sales. So essentially, with computer games, because computer games are so beyond GameStop, they're not affected by it. But console gamers almost always go to GameStop. It's just how the world works in console games right now. So console games, yes, they will have a hard time going purely digital because GameStop owns the soul of every single game developer right now. But if we slowly wean the console market onto just digital gaming, GameStop will hopefully one day die off because I fucking hate them. They go burn in hell. But, we can wean the console market off of it.
Yeah, although I know for a fact that GameStop is going digital as well.
Right.
I think they own Stardock, it's a they do digital games as well. It's not as well known as other.
It's a cloud. They call it cloud gaming. Is that what we've? Is that the official term right now for console digital media? Cloud gaming.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Maybe. I think. I mean, the only game that I know for sure that is on Stardock is Sins of a Solar Empire.
Okay.
Which is a great game, but that's the only game that I know of which is at least exclusively on that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have no idea. The digital media has gone into a very, very complicated state, which I think will be resolved by the end of the next console. Okay, we're getting a note from our producer right now.
Impulse. Sorry, that was my mistake. Stardock is the. You may talk.
Oh, Stardock's the game company.
Stardock's the game company. My mistake. I am mixing terms and names up in my mind.
Well, good that we have people behind the scenes with more knowledge than us.
Yes.
Okay, so explain to me what you said, because I don't actually know anything about this.
Impulse is what was bought by GameStop, and they are the Impulse is the essentially it's another version of Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but well, that's interesting because Steam is pretty big right now. I mean, to try to take on Steam, Origin had a good job. Origin did it at a good time because they have Battlefront 3, Battlefield 3. Battlefront 3 does not exist. They have Battlefield 3, which is huge. People are going to buy that, so it's a good time for Origin to get into it. To make a new service that's going to battle Steam without a game like that.
And even then, tough. I mean, I don't see Origin as battling Steam like head on because it's owned by EA, which is a huge company. Don't get me wrong, but they're not going to have other.
They're not going to have third party.
No, they're not going to have third party games on there. So it's not.
It's stupid to battle Steam.
They're not actually doing that. They're just being, they're just resisting Steam in a sense because
they're bigger than Steam.
And they also, Steam didn't agree to their terms for Battlefield 3. Which, in my opinion, was stupid.
Right? Yeah. Steam's a little difficult to work with.
Yeah.
They're very difficult, which is why like games like StarCraft, even though it's basically downloadable, you still need to get the disc because Steam it wouldn't let them. StarCraft, if you know much about StarCraft, they patch their game constantly, and Steam wouldn't really let them do that unless you go through Steam, which is just a hassle. So I understand why companies don't want to go to Steam, but it's also silly to go against Steam.
No, I mean, what EA is doing is really resisting Steam and just saying, okay, if you want to work with us, you have to change your rules. Otherwise, you're not going to get our games, and that's what they're doing.
Right.
And I think because I'm not sure, and again, don't quote me on this. I think Direct to Drive, which is another one of these that doesn't actually use a system like Steam. You just download it essentially from the website. Is getting Battlefield 3. Again, I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this. This is old. This is what I heard when it was announced that Battlefield 3 would not be on Steam.
Okay.
So it's pretty old news. So again, I'm not exactly sure about this. But if that is the case, it's more EA resisting Steam, saying no, listen to us.
Now we're looking at this very much from the perspective of the makers of the game. Now, I think what probably more important to people is the actual gamer's perspective. Now, I don't know, for those who are listening, I don't know anything about console games. I play StarCraft. That's the only PC game that I play. I don't know much about PC games. So I don't really even have Steam. So would it be hard, Father, for someone to have both Steam and Origin? Would that be difficult for someone to manage?
I think that a lot of people are upset by the fact that it's not on Steam. It's not hard for people to have both. I mean, I have, I think, two different ones, counting Impulse, because I play Sins of a Solar Empire. But honestly, it's not hard. It's just you just have another program on your computer. It's nothing.
It's not really a big hassle. It doesn't take up too much room.
No, I mean I think at the most what it would take up as a program is like 300 megabytes, which
is nothing.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
And even then, that's possibly a stretch because I don't actually know the size of Steam itself. And then it's just the games.
The games are what take up the memory.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's through Steam or not, it doesn't matter. It's just simpler
Okay.
to go through Steam, because then you don't have to worry about anything. There's no hassle. You just buy it through Steam. Using Steam is really simple.
Really simple.
And I mean, I am not bothered by this. I thought it was the best move that EA could do.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it's a smart move from EA's side. They don't have to go through Steam. People are gonna buy the game anyway. I don't honestly think that someone would not buy the game because it's not on Steam.
Just because it's not.
Yeah, I think that they wouldn't have bought the game, first of all, on release date, if they wouldn't buy it because it's on Origin, and it might just be like an impulse buy.
Okay.
Like it's like oh they're having a deal off of Battlefield, and it's it's right there on the main menu. They show what they're doing sales on Steam, so it's really easy to access. Whereas I don't know, I've never used Origin, or I haven't used it yet, which I will whenever Star Wars: The Old Republic comes out.
Of course.
Which is December 20th. So yeah, if you're excited about that just as much as I am, go check it out.
Oh God.
I
So really the biggest hassle that we're looking at right now is maybe if you are currently playing two big games like that you put a lot of hours into, but they're two different games, and one's in Origin, one's on Steam, that might be a little annoying.
Yeah, I think
to switch back and forth, but
even
really
then,
not too big.
I think the big difference where people would notice, if you're a huge Steam user like I am. I mean, I pretty much buy most of my game through Steam's at this point, because it's so much easier, and I don't have to go to GameStop, which I really don't want to do, and I don't have to go to Best Buy, which I also don't want to do, because I don't have a car, which is the main reason why I don't want to do that. But I could technically order through Amazon, but again, it's a hassle.
Right.
I think that for an avid Steam user, it can be a little bit frustrating because they don't have, and who isn't necessarily a huge Battlefield gamer, they have it, if it pops up there, they have it there. And it's there, and they that could be great to have. Again, it's an impulse buy.
So
I think it might matter for the impulse buyers, and for the others who were going to get the game, it's not going to matter. And for those who weren't, it's not going to matter at all anyways.
Not going to matter. Like, I don't have any plans on getting this game, just because I'm trying to avoid the shooters of now, the modern shooter. But I don't really know.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll have to see how Battlefield 3 does.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the beta's out. The
Yeah.
beta's doing its thing right now, as far as I know. So we'll see kind of the reactions to that.
Yeah.
But really, until the game comes out, which is, I don't know
I think it's in November.
It's gotta be a November game.
Everything's coming out in November.
Everything comes out in
Yeah.
November.
It's-
So, I mean, if we're looking at a November game right now, we'll have to wait till November to see what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and see how the sales do, see how people react to it, and just in general, we'll have just to keep our eyes open, and we'll probably talk about it again.
Because this
when
game's
the time
huge.
comes.
It's
huge.
gonna come close to Call of Duty in
Oh, yeah.
sales.
And-
so if it's significantly lower than Call of Duty, that means it's probably due to the Origin Steam scandal.
Yeah.
If it's about the same, then whatever.
It really doesn't matter.
You're right. I'm expecting it not to sell as much as Call of Duty. I
No,
don't know for some reason.
I think that people are more seduced by Call of Duty for some reason.
Well, it's so shiny and beautiful. And, oh my god!
I actually think Battlefield 3 looks shinier. I don't know. It's just I'm
making fun of it. I don't know. It's
I mean, I've played Call of Duty. I've played Battlefield. Personally, I like Battlefield a bit more. I like the more angle on realism a little bit more than Call of Duty, where it's just really, really, really fast action. Whereas you can take it a little bit slower in Battlefield, but that's just me as a gamer. I don't like fast-paced games as much as things where I
haven't
can
played a Battlefield since like the 1948 one that came out.
1942.
1948. Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, World War II happened from 1948, right?
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
Yep.
Yeah. So 19. Whatever the one that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, the 1942.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was a great game.
Right, which was a great game.
It's my favorite one.
But it's probably so different than what it is nowadays.
Oh, yeah,
that
completely.
I probably wouldn't even recognize it,
Oh,
really.
No.
But that's regardless. So, now that we've talked for 20 minutes, we probably should get into the actual point of this thing, which is sequels.
Yes.
Podcasts and sequels.
Yes, so there are a lot of sequels coming out in the next few months, and that have already started. All of the threes, the big threes, are coming out.
Oh my god. Okay, so shooter season is 3. So we got Uncharted 3, Gears of War 3.
Serious Sam.
Serious Sam 3. Battlefield 3.
Modern Warfare 3.
Modern Warfare 3.
Resistance 3.
Resistance 3. Oh.
Did we say Gears?
Yeah, we said
Okay.
Gears. I mean, that's 6. That is so much. Like,
that's already a lot.
What in the like? Okay, so yeah, it's basically a big coincidence that there was 3.
Yeah.
It's just like the 4 season that you were talking
Yeah,
about.
in a few years back when Metal Gear Solid 4 and Grand Theft Auto 4 came out, there was I think at least 1 or 2 other 4 games.
There was a lot for.
And generally, it's weird. Generally, when like big numbered titles come out, there's like at least 3 other ones that come out at the same time.
Right, so it's kind of a coincidence.
Yeah.
In a weird way, but I mean, it's just shooter season, really. I mean, you've got all these shooters that are, finishing their sequels or their trilogies.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, we know that Gears is coming to an end, or at least this part is coming to an end.
Gears is coming to an end. Whatever Battlefield does next, it won't be Battlefield 4. They'll put some weird, probably subtitle on it.
I think I don't know about Uncharted. I think they may continue with Uncharted sequels. Depends on how the ending is. I mean, it's not out yet, so.
I mean, it's such a hugely popular game, but
And
so many sequels so many things end at 3.
Yeah, I mean, and they're good games. Also,
Right.
I've played the Uncharted games. They're fun, and I like the protagonist. He's hilarious.
Drake.
Nathan Drake.
Oh yeah, so there's that. I mean, Gears. Oh yeah, we said we know Gears is ending. Resistance is ending if I'm not mistaken.
Believe it's supposed to be the end.
Yeah, I mean, so it will. Yeah, I guess that's an interesting thing. That's the end of a lot of kind of big names.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to be the more interesting thing is technically the Modern Warfare series. It's because the first one was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare,
and now it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Will they go to something else after this? Will this will be a trilogy within, as I jokingly like to call it, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 3, because it's just absurd name.
That's what it is.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I mean, maybe they'll go back to World War II. I would like them to go back to World War II. I miss World War II, which is funny because we were so sick of World War II. Yeah, like 3 years ago when there was nothing but.
See, I was never sick of World War II games because I love the history of World War II. It's one of my favorite things to study in terms of history.
You gotta admit there was a lot of World War II games.
I do agree that there were a lot of World War II games, but then again, I'm not a big fan of modern shooters, which is why I preferred the World War II.
It gets to a point when you have a shotgun and you can shoot someone across the entire map that you start going, okay, yes, this is realistic because modern guns are really powerful, but this isn't fun.
No.
No,
I mean, I think that actually it was in Battlefield Bad Company too. You have in the beginning of the story mode, you have a whole part that's modern that is in World War II.
And how'd that work out?
It was fun.
Yeah?
It was really fun. I mean, it was just a short segment of the game, but it was fun. I liked it.
I mean, World War II is a great thing, and so...
Well, I wouldn't call it a great thing.
Okay, well, it's a great concept for games.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes, people died. Yes, okay, it was a horrible time in history.
But it's a great thing for games.
It's a great thing for games.
Yes.
Great concept for games that has happened throughout the many... I mean... Shooters have almost always been based around around World War II. It's just a very popular subject.
Yeah.
So will Call of Duty go back to that, or will they? Maybe we'll go to space and be futuristic.
See,
we've gone from modern shooters. Now we'll go to future shooters.
My two favorite, not counting the Bad Company games because I actually kind of enjoyed those. My two favorite Battlefield games are 1942 and 2142. Because that one is more futuristic, and it was fun. It was a really fun game. It had pretty cool strategy elements for the multiplayer, and it was fun. It was just kind of stupid fun. I don't know. It wasn't the best game ever. I'm not gonna lie. But it was fun.
So Call of Duty 5 pew pew lasers.
Call of Duty 5 pew pew lasers. You heard it here first, guys.
It's gonna be a great game. Good. Okay. And so HD remakes? You want to talk about
HD remakes. Let's talk about HD remakes
talk
for a
about
bit.
some HD remakes. I have recently purchased 2 HD games this week off downloadable purchase. Serious Sam 1, from Xbox 360 because I didn't know Serious Sam 3 was coming out. I found out 2 days ago. I love Serious Sam. I don't know how this slipped past me, given just yesterday it got delayed from November to December, but that's regardless. I mean, I was like, oh my god, Serious, I'm so excited about this. So I bought the HD remake of the first one on Xbox, which, is really nice. And I also bought Call of Duty, Call of Duty. Resident Evil Code Veronica.
A little bit different. Just a tinge of
Resident Evil Code Veronica, the HD remake, both for Xbox. So, HD remakes. My personal opinion is if you own the original, don't get HD remakes because they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Really just shinier. I have the original Code Veronica, and I have the ability to play it, but it's also just more convenient to play it on a modern console like the Xbox. So it was $20.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever,
I think that what they're really aiming at is convenience at this point because I think especially on PlayStation, if they are doing it like a remake of a PlayStation 2 titles because they've actually they're starting to do a lot of those.
Yeah.
I think it's useful for people who don't have who no longer have a PS2 and have a newer version of the PlayStation 3 that doesn't do reverse compatibility.
Right. Backwards compatibility.
That's. Oh, God.
It's fine. No, don't worry.
Anyways, I think for people like that, it's great. That's awesome. And for new gamers who haven't played the games, and generally they're good games that they're doing. I mean, they don't.
I understand that Resident Evil, why they did that, because they got such a big new market from Resident Evil 4 and 5 that it's smart to remake some of their older games because the newer gamers are very ignorant of the old Resident Evil story. So it opens their eyes a little, given they really should remake Resident Evil 2, but that's, once again, regardless. The HD remakes, they make sense. They do. They're convenient. They're very nice, given I would recommend playing on the old consoles if you can and it's convenient, but if it's not convenient, HD is pretty nice.
Yeah.
The only it's not a problem. It's just I feel that they put very little effort into it.
Yeah.
Everything just looks shinier. Sometimes they don't do it great where it looks like a plastic wrap kind of just goes over it.
I think I've played before the God of War remake HD remakes came out. I bought the PlayStation 2 1 and 2 versions and played through them. And then like a week later the remakes were announced for pretty much the same price I bought the old versions.
That's
and
horrible.
It was kind of horrible and I was like, "Oh crap, this sucks." So what I did is I gave my girlfriend at the time didn't have a PS3, so I gave her the PlayStation 2 versions and I bought the PlayStation 3 remakes. And I mean, it looked sleeker.
Yeah.
But it didn't look that much better. It looks I have to say it looked kind of like the PSP version of the God of War game.
Right.
The Chains of Olympus, I think it's called. There's a maybe the PSP version for
Yeah. It looked
like that.
Okay. Well,
which wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm trying to think if it was really my first HD remake. I think it was, or that I can really think of, not counting maybe like PlayStation 2 remakes. But even then, I can't even think of one. Yeah. That was my first experience with an HD remake, I think. And I honestly didn't see that much of a difference that really, shocked me, or it was still a fun game. It was all on one Blu-ray. It was great. It was really it was better for me to have that than to use my PS2. Because then I don't have to switch cables and things like that, stuff like that. And
it's convenient.
It's
is
convenient.
What it comes down to.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I played of Serious Sam and what I remember, unfortunately, I don't have the ability to do a side-by-side comparison. But from my memory, the Serious Sam HD remake all around looks really, really good. Comparison-wise, given it's the same game and everything looks the same, it's just everything's shinier. It looks pretty good. Code Veronica, on the other hand, the really big differences that I see, the menu looks better, and the items that are grabbable look shinier, and you can you can point them out of a crowd much easier. But the backgrounds, they don't look that different. I mean, given it's a very dark and dreary game, so you can't really spruce them up all that well.
Yeah.
You know, maybe when I haven't beaten the game, so once I get into like the Antarctica level where everything's white and shiny, you know, you might notice something. But for right now, it's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see footage of the Final Fantasy X HD remake.
Right, because have we seen anything on that?
I haven't seen anything of it. There might have been some pictures released. I don't think so.
I've only heard of it. I haven't actually seen anything. Because if it looks good, I loved that game. That would be awesome to play.
And I think that is one of the games that has, in my opinion, one of the biggest potential outside of maybe PlayStation 1 games of getting of looking, you know, great.
Well, I mean, there were some great scenes in that if are actually improved could look so good.
I know. And I mean, Square was always well known for their, you know, cutscenes.
Right.
That were always, you know, ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, yeah. I mean, the cutscenes of Final Fantasy X like sometimes broke my PS. Like I had to like fiddle with I had to hit my PS2 sometimes just to make it, you know, run them because it was too nice looking.
I think from what you've told me about your PS2 experiences, you had bad PS2s.
Okay, well, no. The running joke with PS2s to me is Metal Gear Solid games literally break my PS2s. Like, I get these games and I put them into PS2 and it breaks. The second time around that happened, my PS2 still worked afterwards, not very well. So the cutscenes of Final Fantasy X just didn't. They ran. I did like hit my PS2 to make it run. PS2 just do not agree with me. As much as I love the system, they do not agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nintendo right now is really going ahead with HD remakes on the 3DS, which is interesting because now Sony's doing on consoles, whereas Nintendo's doing it on their handhelds.
But their handheld is pretty freaking powerful.
Yeah, it's a powerful device. It's, I think, about as powerful as the PSP, or a little bit more powerful, I think.
It very well could be.
Yeah, I mean, something like that.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good.
I mean, it's a huge jump from the DS to the 3DS.
Huge. I mean, the biggest thing that I always bring up when comparing them, if you saw a hand on the DS, generally it looked like a little like polygon pixel thing, where it actually looks like a hand on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest comparison I tend to bring up because, like, detail-wise, that's so awesome how like much more refined it is. Which brings up an interesting point that there's kind of two remakes that have been going on. There's HD remakes, which we were just talking about, and then there's remakes, which really have, you know, Ocarina of Time got a remake.
Yeah.
Like, literally full out, it's the same exact game, but the graphics have been completely changed.
Yeah.
The little things have been changed. Everything just looks better. And then you can look into the past and maybe, like, the Resident Evil 1, which came out in 1994. I want to say, and then 2001 it got a full remake, which added a lot to the game, but just overall everything was redone. And those kind of remakes, they take a lot more effort, but they look really good. And Nintendo has been doing that a little. You know, you can kind of make an argument that Twilight Princess was a kind of remake of Ocarina of Time, and then you got like the return of Donkey Kong Country and Kirby and whatnot. So they're not remakes, but they're remakes. They're sequels that are remakes.
Yeah, really.
In reality,
yeah.
So there's those kind of competitive types of remakes that have been going on, and it's huge in the sequel department right now.
There's one game series that stands out in my mind in remakes. It's not really HD remakes because at the time it was on the same consoles. I don't know if you've heard of these. It's called Persona games.
Never heard of them.
Especially Persona 3. It was first released, I think, in around 2006, 2007, the original Persona 3. Then they re-released, I think, Persona 3 FES, where they added an extra character to have this thing called a social link.
What is FES stand for?
I don't know, actually.
Okay, fair enough.
To be fair, I don't know. It might actually stand for something. For what it stands for, I don't know. It's like FES.
Okay.
And then they re-released it again on the PSP, and they added a new protagonist. Like, you could play as a girl.
Okay.
Whereas before you couldn't. And the huge aspect of the game is having, for lack of a better word, relationships with people. Like, you make friendships with people and improve on their relationships, and then you can have romantic relationships as well.
Okay.
What they did for Persona 3 FES, they added one romantic relationship, and what they did for what they call P3P, so Persona 3 Portable, they added a whole new protagonist who has completely different social links, or almost completely different social links. Social links. So it's not exactly an HD remakes, because actually for the portable version they took away from a lot. Like there's it's kind of complicated to just explain, but they took away a lot of the animation from the game. Like when you're not in the area where you are running around in a dungeon, you are there. You have like a sprite thing, whereas before you were in a 3D character model.
Huh.
I think
a weird way to do things.
I know. I think it's just because the PSP couldn't actually handle the.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
The thing, I'm not sure if that was the actual reason. They're doing a new remake of Persona 4 for the PlayStation Vita.
Okay.
Where I think they're not going to do that because the PlayStation Vita can run pretty much anything that was on the PlayStation 2.
Right, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And they're also adding another character for the PlayStation 4 for the PlayStation Vita remake.
Right.
So they're different. They're not exactly HD remakes, but
they're similar.
They have new things, and actually the game system in Persona 3 Portable is completely different.
Right.
Like in Persona 3 you don't have control of your party members. In Persona 3 Portable you do.
Okay.
So they've changed like crucial aspects of the.
It's not an overhaul, but there's little things.
And even big things, because controlling your party members makes a big difference.
Right,
it actually makes the
right.
game so much easier.
Yes, I would imagine that probably
Because
makes it helpful.
there's some characters that spam like one attack.
Right.
Always.
Oh, old AI.
Yeah.
How we love you so much.
And it's. Yeah. So, I mean, Persona games are a good example for remakes that aren't exactly remakes. They are more like re-releases with an extra bonus attached to it. But it's rare to see that nowadays, because people don't. I think that game companies don't think that it's gonna work that well, and I think in some aspects they're right.
Yeah, it's iffy. It's an iffy market.
Yeah.
I mean, sequels and remakes are everywhere right now. They're just taking over. And it brings up a lot of questions. If you want to remake a game, do you want to put little effort into it and make an HD, or do you want to as a company make a small team to overhaul the game and really remake it? You know, there's that issue. There's PSP Vita is now basically making PS2 games on their handheld console.
Yeah.
The same generation for Nintendo is GameCube. So are we going to start seeing GameCube games on the 3DS?
Yeah, I mean,
because like Ocarina of Time, it's an N64 game that looks a lot better than N64.
Oh yeah,
pretty much on par with GameCube. But it's also just a remake of a very old game. So if you just try to make not a remake, just a new game, can you get to GameCube level? That's the real big question.
Yeah, I think where the PlayStation Vita has like the edge in terms of graphic capability is
but
that
PS2 pretty much looked better than GameCube in a lot
but
of
I think
ways.
They also have the edge of a good edge on PS2, because from what I've seen of the Uncharted game on the PlayStation Vita, it looks amazing, like really really good.
If it looks really good, then
I mean,
that's not a question about PS2 then.
No, I mean it pretty much
it flattens PS2
completely.
Okay, so then, I mean, we all know 3DS is not going to be as powerful as the PSP Vita.
No.
But
I think
we can hope for GameCube, right?
I mean, yeah.
Because in my opinion, GameCube actually looks better than the Wii, which is sad on so many levels.
No.
But, maybe we can make it to the GameCube. That would be great.
I actually think that the 3DS can most definitely do it. I want Nintendo to do remakes of their good GameCube games.
Sign that petition for Majora's Mask.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Sign it. Yeah, get everyone to do it. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just if they really want to do it, if they think it's going to work, and that's the question that they're asking themselves at this point is it going to work? I think personally that it depending on the games, it will, no matter what, because there's such a huge fan base, and they're just going to buy it no matter what. And I mean, I'm including in certain games, if they're going to do a remake, the remake of Persona 4, I have it on PlayStation 2. I'm going to buy it for the PSP Vita. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no if you enjoy a game and it's being remade, you know, if they overhaul it, you really should get it if you really love that game.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, HDs are sometimes in question, but really, if it's more convenient and you would want to replay the game, these are great deals coming out. These are wonderful.
Because they're cheaper than full release titles. I think they're around $30-$40 generally.
Well, depending. I mean, I bought Code Veronica for $20. I bought Serious Sam for $5.
I think it depends also on where, if you buy, like, I think the PlayStation 2 remakes on PS3 are around $30-$40.
Right.
Because they're on a Blu-ray and it's expensive to make.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Screw
that.
PS3.
Hey. My PS3 is awesome.
I'm just pointing out, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. So HD remakes and sequels, the shooter season. What else big has been happening in the sequel world?
I think DLC is really big right now because
DLC.
a lot of games actually feel like they should be DLC to begin with because they're short. The quality is kind of and I mean they don't add that much to the experience overall.
I mean, yeah.
I think the Force Unleashed 2 is probably the best example that's out there.
Let me talk about this for a second. I mean, okay, so I played the Force Unleashed 1 for Xbox, you know, and it was great. It was fun, great game. Yeah, it was a little short. The DLCs were awful for it. Never get the DLCs for it. But then, you know, over the summer, I had GameFly, and I was like, oh, I'll play around with GameFly for a little while and get Force Unleashed 2. The game was like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
There was nothing to it, and there was like 3, maybe 4 areas in the whole game. Like,
yeah.
It was horrible. And then you have things like Homefront, which was built up as this huge marketing game.
Yeah.
And it was literally, I think, 5 hours long.
Yeah. I think the problem with especially shooters is that people are trying to go for the online experience more than the actual, you know, single player storyline.
But
for
regardless
the Force
of that,
Unleashed 2, there's not even
you have games that are literally the size of DLC. Some DLCs. I mean, Oblivion: Shivering Isles was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. I loved it.
It was like a 30-hour DLC easily.
Yeah.
And you have these games that are 5 hours long that are whole $60 games.
I know.
I mean, thank God I had GameFly and didn't have to actually like pay $60 for this because I would have been throwing things.
Yeah. I mean, I think that developers feel like especially when it's a sequel, when the game the first game is really popular, it's pretty good. I mean, Force Unleashed 1 was good. I think it needed a little bit more polish.
It needed more polish.
And it was a little bit repetitive, in my opinion, in certain areas. And there's some things that just kind of didn't work. But it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. That was the thing with it. It was fun.
But the second one was so short.
So short. You didn't even have time to really experiment with the new things that were in it. There weren't even really that many new things, but still.
I mean, I haven't played the game personally, but from what I heard, it was ridiculously easy because you were ridiculously overpowered from the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even like the collectibles in the game weren't hard to find. Nothing was long about it. I just don't know where they dropped the ball on that. And that's the worry with DLC. There are a lot of DLCs that have come out that are just, I mean, yes, we can all bring up Horse Armor. We can bring up Horse Armor from Oblivion for the rest of time as a horrible, horrible DLC that was a complete ripoff because you pay like $5 for like something that literally does nothing.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, but that was back when DLCs, we were kind of figuring everything out. But still, even nowadays, I mean, I hate to keep on, you know, bringing up Force Unleashed, but the DLCs for the first game were actually they were so poorly done that there were literally parts where you fought one of the bosses and then you would just skip to the next boss and there was no story build up. They just didn't do the production of it and you just jumped and I don't understand why these things are being done.
No, I mean, and there's other games where the DLC is essentially a standalone game.
Right.
And it's just insane. I mean,
like,
Oblivion was a great example.
Oblivion, right? You have Knights of the Nine, which wasn't huge, but it was big. But you have the Shivering Isles is a great example of just huge.
It was a great game.
So yes, it can be done. Given Shivering Isles was more expensive than the standard DLC because it was so huge.
Yeah.
But regardless, like, you added a lot in that game.
Yeah.
And then you have other examples like Alan Wake, which had such a bad ending that they actually added 2 DLCs, I think, onto it.
Yeah.
To actually expand on the ending because the ending was just, it wasn't it was a disappointing ending. It just, it kind of, I don't think it was like a cliffhanger kind of bad ending. It was more of like we're not, like, the writers were smarter than the players, and the players couldn't figure out, like, what the ending meant, so they were just lost, so they had to add a little to it with DLC, which was a good use of, that was a great, it saved the game with DLC.
I think a lot of games the ending just clearly says DLC is coming.
Right.
And and especially if the experience is kind of short, pisses me off because I'm like, okay, so I had a pretty short experience and you clearly are doing DLC just to make more money.
Right.
And I mean,
well,
okay.
There's also games that have DLC almost built into them. If you look, once again, Oblivion has so much DLC that you can mention this again and again. But there's like you could buy a tower in the game, a wizard's tower that would give you as a magician a bunch of upgrades. But if you go to the game before the wizard's tower, there's this little flag on one of the mountains where the tower's supposed to be. So clearly they were marking the spot where they were going to put this tower.
Yeah.
And there's also another DLC that unlocks a building for you. But that building's actually in the game. All that the DLC does is unlock the door. So literally, it's not even adding games. It's just unlocking things for you. Like, that's annoying when a developer does that purely to make money.
Yeah, and there's even some games that have DLC on the disc.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah.
That you unlock by paying for the stuff, and it's on there. It's on the disc.
It's I don't even know. Like,
that makes no sense.
What do you do with that? Like, what? I mean, it's so clearly just to make money.
Yeah.
That I don't even know. Like,
it feels like,
because we're gonna buy it. They know we're going to buy it. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
You know where did we cross the line where games stopped being the whole game when you pay the $60 for it?
Yeah.
When did we cross that line?
I don't know, because I mean, I think it really links back to the digital medium. To a certain extent, because expansions at the time came on discs and things like that, and they were big experiences because generally they would be. I mean, they weren't as expensive as the game itself. I think some of them were almost as.
Like Brood War for StarCraft 1 is a great example of it. It was an expansion that came on a disc, and it added a ton to the game. And you paid pretty much, well, not the same, but you paid like $20 extra for it, and you were like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. And then I think when they started doing DLC,
that's when it went downhill.
That's when it went down.
That's when it downhill. And I mean, there were points where it was really bad and points where it was really good, and now I think we've gotten to the point where they figured out how to make money off of us, and it's just really bad right now.
And I mean, and we can't do anything about it.
Nope. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
And there's actually some aspects where I think it's a good thing to have the DLC, where, for example, to fight GameStop and use games. Some companies have been using codes that you need to put in, so that if you buy it used, you can't get the code, so you have to buy the extra stuff.
Filming. What was the game that there was literally like underground dungeons that you can only unlock them if you have a code with the original game? There was. Oh no! What?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, then we won't bring that up. But there are games that just. Yeah. I mean, it's Was Deus Ex the game that that GameStop was throwing the codes out?
It was for but it was for a month trial of what's it called, that other.
Well, I probably should stop bringing up things that we actually don't know anything about.
I know. I mean, I know what happened is that there's. Oh yeah, it was for OnLive.
Good. We have guys behind the scenes saving our skins
again. We love you guys. what GameStop did for the PC version of Deus Ex Human Revolution, there was a code for OnLive, and GameStop gave instructions to their employees to open the box for the PC games, which is something you just don't do, and throw out the code.
Which, I mean, okay, yeah, there's no laws against it, but I mean, it's just, that's so insulting.
And it's also to fight the competition.
Right.
No, you don't do that. And then what they ended up doing is just not selling the PC version of Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Right.
They're still selling the console versions of it. Personally, I wouldn't buy it on console because it's not a game I would play on console.
Okay, well, yeah, you're biased on that, but
that's just because I don't play things that generally have a first-person like perspective on consoles.
I find it fine, but whatever.
I mean, I can do it. I have a few of them that do that, but I prefer playing it on a PC because I like mouse and keyboard.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, DLCs, they've screwed us over.
Yeah,
they're doing good. They're doing bad things.
Yeah,
I think they're getting worse.
And I mean, there's to emphasize the worse. There's a map pack for Call of Duty Black Ops, I believe, where it's a zombie map pack, where they've essentially just reselling 4 old maps and 1 new one.
Right, for $15?
Yeah.
$15. What?
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, okay, yes, I don't play I gave up on Call of Duty as soon as I couldn't handle the fact that it was the same game packaged over and over and over. And just the general gist of the game. But for someone, if putting myself in the shoes of someone who's bought this game, put $60 in, put all the money into all these map packs, and then in order to get the new pack, $15.
Yeah,
that's
stupid.
I would love to know the exact price. If you bought every single map of a Call of Duty game, how much the game comes with the original game, how much it costs you to get absolutely everything in the game.
A lot.
It's probably a lot of money.
I mean, I don't know exactly. I would assume it's about double.
Yeah.
The price of the original.
That wouldn't surprise me. And you know what? I bet Gears of War 3 is going to be the same thing.
Yeah, because there's DLC been announced for that, I believe.
Of course there has. Oh yeah, they're doing the like Gears of War. You become like a member, and you get like everything for like 30% cheaper or something. But like with that, you're saving or maybe you're saving $30. I forget. You get stuff for cheaper. Altogether, you're saving $30, which if you think about it, without that saving or even with that saving, it's probably a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And oh my god, that's awful.
Yeah, DLC has great aspects because it expands on certain games, it expands badly on others because certain DLCs are just bad. And I'm always confused when a great game gets bad DLC. I don't understand how that's possible. But
they do it. I mean, so yes. I don't know. Okay, since first-person shooters have become popular, especially on consoles with the DLC thing, yes, DLC maps have been sold, and they've worked out pretty well, but now it's getting to a point where there's so many map packs and people who are essentially addicted to this game pool out money.
Oh, yeah.
So much money for this game. I don't think it's worth it anymore.
I would agree, and I mean, it's crazy. That's what it is. It's just crazy. It's developers and game companies just abusing their fan base.
And I think I'm more worried for the day where you can't play the base game until you get the DLC. When they say, you get the base game, and then when they release the DLC, you can't play it online until you get... I'm afraid of that day because I know it's probably going to come.
Yeah.
And you're going to be required to buy the DLC with your own money, or you can't play it online.
Yeah. Because
really, the way they can word that is, well, we sold this game to you with single player built in. The online service is we are using our servers to support us, support you. So if you want to play our game online, you have to support us by buying this DLC.
Yeah.
That day's gonna come.
Yeah.
And that's scary. I'm sorry, that's scary.
There's actually Star Wars Galaxies never required you to have the DLC or the expansions for it, I think. And at one point, they just gave one of the expansion, like one or two of the
They
expansions.
made it required and then
and they just gave it out
away.
for free.
Which I've heard of other companies doing that, and that
that's
works.
the right way to do it.
That's fine, but there might be a day where you have to pay for it, and that's. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I've almost given up on online games, so I feel pretty secure right now because I am so far beyond that.
Yeah.
At this point, which one day I know I'll get back into it, but right at this point, I haven't played them for like a year now, and I'm really happy about that. But the day that comes is just
it's gonna suck.
It's gonna be awful. I mean, I remember the days when video games only cost $50 new, and then we went up to 60, and it was outrageous. But eventually, we just conformed. And it's going to be the same thing. It's going to seem outrageous at first with this DLC coming out, and everyone's going to be like, "Arr!" about it. Yeah. And then they're just going to get used to it, and we're just going to conform, and it's going to be...
That's just how things are.
It's just how it is. People are going to try to make more... Or the companies are going to try to make more and more money off of the gamers who they know, no matter what, are going to buy these games.
Oh, yeah.
And that sucks.
That sucks.
That sucks.
That really sucks.
We did skip over something earlier that I do want to talk about was the Zelda. What we were talking about. We were having a little conversation before we started recording about the Zelda. Some not confirmed information that we came across, but I find relatively interesting. There was a new Zelda Skyward Sword trailer that came out really recently, and essentially it talked about it showed Zelda and Link together. And what it basically talked about is Zelda and Link are childhood friends in Skyward Sword, and they kind of have a love interest going on, which, first of all, in every other Zelda game, Link has basically just met Zelda, and, she's just a princess that he's saving. There's really no love interest. It's just he's trying to save her or whatever because she's a princess in a video game, so she needs to be in trouble because what other, kind of concept have we ever had in video games? And so it's interesting that for the first time ever, Zelda is getting away from that and being, hey, they've known each other forever, they grew up together, and they're kind of digging each other.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for a change.
Honestly, I've had a little bit of trouble enjoying Zelda games. They're fun, don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's just I feel like there's something missing for me as a gamer. I want a little bit more out of it. And that's just how I am. There's something missing either in story or in certain gameplay aspects. I need to have either one that I want more of, and Zelda titles have just not had that for me. But I think that this actually may, it makes me want to play the game.
Yeah,
which is rare when it comes to games like Zelda, where I'm just like, okay, it's another Zelda title.
I mean, I'm extremely biased in this because I have played Zelda. I mean, I'm not old enough to have played the first Zelda and played every single one ever since they came out. But okay, so I started with the Super Nintendo. That's not too bad, I swear. But so I've played a lot of these games. I've played almost every single Zelda. I've beaten almost every single Zelda. I've played these for many, many years. And I don't know if it's just I'm so used to the same old formula that I love it so much that I don't want them to get away from it. But it's kind of exciting to see a little change because haven't. So I'm excited about it, but I'm a little nervous because another thing we were talking about was the upgrade system. Yeah. They have confirmed an upgrade system in Zelda. Now, knowing Nintendo, it's probably not going to be a huge game changer. There's always been upgrades in the game where you get the better sword or the bigger quiver for your arrows or whatever. But they seem to be focusing a little bit on upgrade system, which is something they've never done. So they are actually changing the formula, essentially for the first time in the series. Or at least Ocarina of Time really changed the formula. So this might be our next big revolution in this Zelda series, and I don't know if I'm excited or scared.
See, I'm excited about it because I really enjoyed a game called 3D Dot Game Heroes, which is half a parody, half an homage to Zelda. I mean, it's blatant.
It's blatant, and I've never heard of this. We just looked this up. I've never seen it before. The music,
the style, it looks like Zelda, it feels like Zelda, it sounds like Zelda. Essentially, it is Zelda, but it's not.
Right. It's got the upgrade system.
Yeah, and it's got an upgrade system. It plays a little bit differently. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it feels very similar. And I really like the upgrade system in the game. It was fun. It was exciting. It was new for me, and I haven't played many Zelda titles. I'm not gonna lie. I've played the original Game Boy version, which
oh god,
yeah, I've played I think 1 or 2 on the DS.
Yeah.
And then I've played Ocarina of Time on the 3DS because I never had an N64.
Right.
So that's why I hadn't played it before.
Why? Just saying, sign a petition for Majora's Mask on
Yeah.
3DS. It's gonna be awesome. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the games. I don't think they're bad games by far. I mean, they are good games. It's just I feel like there's something missing to me, and I think that might actually add that thing missing. You know, for me as a gamer, with my preferences, and I'm excited for that. Actually, before the announcement of that, I was just not interested at all. And that's been my problem with Nintendo in general because they do a lot of that.
They never change their
exactly, which is a safe way of doing things. And I mean, their games are going to sell.
Because no matter. They could literally make a public announcement saying this Zelda game is going to be horrible, don't buy it, and I'd still buy it. Literally, there is nothing stopping me from buying a Zelda game.
Yeah, and hardcore fans are going to do that.
Exactly. I'm not going to not buy the Zelda game. It's just how it is.
Although it might make you less likely to buy the next one. That's generally what happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was also a hardcore Resident Evil fan, and now for the first time in my life, I'm actually skeptical of Resident Evil games after 4 and 5.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right, because you love a series only to such an extent, but that's regardless. These changes are huge, never been done before in Zelda, so I'm excited. I'm really like, oh my god, like this could be the next Ocarina of Time if they're really changing the formula. Also, it could be like the Wii and fall flat on its face for the real gamers.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, I think it has a great potential. I think it may be one of the most fun new things that I have personally seen in a Zelda title. I haven't played them all, so I can't say if that's just as a whole.
Right.
I think that if they do put a little bit more emphasis on story, which I love story in games, I'm a huge story person, and I mean, if you want me to play a game, tell me it's a good story and I'll play it. I mean, that's just how I work.
And that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I
love stories too, but
I think that if the gameplay is not as good as the story, I'm okay with it. I can deal with bad gameplay as long as the story is good.
And that's also to an extent. I mean, but like I think I stand similar, and like I will play a game for its story. Graphics are really the thing that don't bother me. Like,
I don't care about graphics.
If it looks bad, whatever.
There's certain things where I just can't play them because either they just don't work anymore because it's way too many polygons in terms of huge polygons. Not like I had a hard time playing Final Fantasy VII because of the polygons, and I just find it a very ugly game to look at. That's my personal experience with it. I didn't play it until it was on the PlayStation Network.
Right.
So that's probably why.
I mean, I'm actually for the first time really having problems with the graphics of a game because really normally I don't care, but actually oddly enough, Pokemon White is not actually. I actually hate how it looks.
See, I kind of I liked it because it went into 3D-esque for the first time.
No, I love the 3D, but I honestly think that I guess maybe it's too zoomed in that everything looks more pixelated, but it's actually bothering me. I think it's because I just came off of Pokemon Silver, Soul Silver, which is technically an older game.
Which looks great.
And I think it looks better.
Yeah.
And that confuses me.
I mean, I think Soul Silver is a better game by
by
far, just in general, because it's an awesome game.
Yeah, well, I think I'm not even talking about gameplay because I'm not far enough into White to really judge it on gameplay yet. I'm just saying purely... just graphically, I just don't.
Yeah, I think
it bothers me.
I think that if they're going to do a Pokemon game with 3D graphics, I think it should be on a console. That's my personal view of it.
But we're not going to see a Pokemon game on a console. We're not.
We're not.
It's too set into handheld, which it works on handheld. So
it works great, and I love it. I don't know. I think for a game like that, they should go on a third-person adventure game type thing. with a similar battle system, or exactly the same battle
Right.
system.
I mean, it would be interesting on
Yeah.
console because they could. I would love to see an open world rather than a linear
Yeah,
Pokemon.
I would love that.
With
Actually,
RPG elements and blah
see,
blah blah.
what I kind of wanted for a while when I was a little bit younger is Pokemon MMORPG.
Oh
Now,
god.
I
God.
wouldn't actually pay for that
Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't pay for it either.
because I don't like paying monthly fees unless it's a game I know I'm going to love.
I feel like there's a Star Wars game.
Star Wars: The Old Republic, which I know I'm going to love.
Yep. Yeah, you are.
Because first of all, I'm a huge Star Wars fanboy.
Right.
Second of all, I'm a huge BioWare fanboy. Third of all, I'm a huge Knights of the Old Republic fanboy. I mean, I know for a fact that BioWare has its problems. It's not the best company. It's probably
Yeah.
my favorite.
I have problems with them, but that's regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone.
Right.
I think that I think they do great games. I think they've done a few bad ones, especially the Sonic game they've done, which is a Sonic RPG that just doesn't. It's a shitty game. It falls into the
Sonic
curse
work
of
is-
Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic just has a very bad
Yeah.
streak going,
So I don't even count it as a BioWare game because it's Sonic.
which is fair. It's fair.
But generally, they're RPGs. I like them. They're fun. Some people have problems with them. That's fine. I'm not saying they're perfect games by far. I mean, Dragon Age 2 had a lot of problems.
Dragon
and
Age 1 had a lot of problems.
I mean,
Okay.
all of them had problems, but see, I'm able to deal with the problems in BioWare games because I enjoy the story in BioWare games.
And the story was amazing. I will give Dragon Age amazing story. Bigger than amazing story, amazing world.
Yeah.
The world was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I just couldn't stand the
I think
gameplay.
BioWare. I don't. I mean, I'm not comfortable just saying that outright. I don't think BioWare has a competitor when it comes to story. I think they do the best stories by far. And for me, story is so big, I don't care as much for the gameplay. So I can deal with whatever problems in gameplay in any BioWare games, pretty much except for the Sonic game, which I just don't care about Sonic to begin with.
Yeah. Nah.
So, I mean, what I really enjoyed, I mean, I love the Mass Effect games. I think Mass Effect 1 was good. It was a little bit broken in certain aspects. Mass Effect 2 fixed that in great ways. And it had its own issues.
When does Mass Effect 3 come out?
Sometime in March, I think.
Oh, wow. So that's really missing the 3 sequel.
Yeah, by a little bit.
Yeah, that's weird.
but-
Whatever.
I think it might be a little bit early. I think it's
Okay.
but I'm excited for 3. I've kept myself from actually seeing any videos of it because I'm so excited.
Wow.
I know.
Go you.
I know.
That's actually impressive.
I don't know how I've done it. I
Yeah,
haven't been spoiled
like, 'cause-
anything about the game. It's except for the announcement trailer. That's all I've seen.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, I can't avoid Skyrim news. I literally just can't.
I know.
I can't not look at it. It's absurd because I don't want to look at it because I don't want to spoil things, but I can't not.
Yeah.
But that's regardless. I mean, the games, they're changing. And
They're changing. And I think in some aspects they're changing in good ways.
Yeah.
And others in bad. I mean, you're never gonna get. I don't think you're ever gonna get a perfect game.
We're not going to have a perfect market ever.
No.
Is really what it
And
comes down to.
I think that older gamers that say the old games, the good games. I mean, they're exaggerating. It's nostalgia. They're great games. Many of them are great games. I just don't think they're the best games ever. I think it's.
Yeah, but no.
I mean-
I agree with that. I don't agree with it.
I understand it because one of my favorite games of all time is Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah. I just hate modern games now. I can't stand them. They really bug me.
I mean, for me, it depends on which game.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I mean, I do feel that I'm going to really push towards this, remake market, an older game, which is weird, but
Yeah.
I don't like the modern style, and I think, the future style might be better, but I think
Yeah.
the little bubble that we're in right now, it doesn't work with me.
I never really liked modern setting games. It always bothered me because it's what's around us.
Right.
It's not as interesting because we're experiencing it.
Well, I'm not even talking. I'm talking about
I
modern.
know what you
time.
mean, but
yeah.
I'm saying because it's actually kind of ironic that in modern times we're doing games about modern times. It's amusing to me. I mean,
Yeah, it is. No, it is. Which is why we need to have Call of Duty 5 pew pew lasers.
Call of Duty 5 pew pew lasers, like I said before, announced here. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. It's where we're heading. it's worrying and exciting at the same time.
Yep, and I think sequels. I don't know what to do with them. Okay, so we've hit an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop
We're probably good. So, guys, doodlers, everybody. This has been the first podcast of Gaming Nobodies, our little attempt at we don't know anything about podcasts, so we should make a podcast.
Best idea ever.
If you are interested, we will have a YouTube channel, and we're going to be trying to get this on audio, right?
Yeah.
You know about computers here.
Yes, I know about computers more than Oop does. So
we're gonna try to have audio. We'll wherever this is. You find this, hopefully there will be links to all ways to get to this.
Yeah.
If you are interested in either of us, I'm Oop My Downs. I have a YouTube channel, just www.youtube.com/oopmydowns is my channel, or you can follow me on Twitter at Oop My Downs.
And I'm Father. My YouTube channel is Father's Bane. So it's Father's, no apostrophe, and Bane.
Not to be confused with Mother's Bane, which might come up if you try to search it on YouTube.
Yeah, right now. And if you're interested, right now I'm doing a Let's Play in Borderlands.
Right, and I'm doing a Let's Play of Call of Duty Code Veronica HD remake.
Call of Duty Code Veronica.
God damn it!
Twice.
I've done that twice. I've literally done that twice. Resident Evil Code Veronica. It's the Call of Duty Resident Evil Code Veronica X HD remake for the Xbox 360, because that's not a mouthful at all.
At all. So, thanks for listening. I'm Father.
And I'm Oop My Downs.
And we're the Gaming Nobodies.
See you guys next time.